Last time out in Homestead, Miami, we saw a red flag strike after, CrowdStrike systems went down mid-race and all teams that use our software were basically locked out of accessing their computer systems throughout the race. That led to Joe Gibbs Racing, terminating our partnership as a team with CrowdStrike, as we had a CrowdStrike sponsorship that literally started in that last episode. But unfortunately, that partnership has already come to an end, and a lot of teams have made the switch now from CrowdStrike over to other software going forward into race 3 of 36 this weekend, but race 3 of 24 regular season races. We saw last episode Kyle Busch win after the confusion and some great racing throughout the day in Homestead, Miami, going into the evening, of course, under the sunset at the very end. But Kyle Busch delivered Honda their first win as a manufacturer, and, that was Kyle Busch's first win as a Trackhouse driver in his second season. Is this a sign of things to come for the driver that we know is certainly in the twilight of his career? He's probably got another couple seasons left under him before he's going to be retiring from full-time Cup Series competition, I would imagine now. But yeah, what a day it was for Kyle Busch, and now he can set his focus on picking up more playoff points and setting himself up for his first playoff run in a few seasons, because he did miss the playoffs last time out last season here. Now, I was pretty happy with the Top Golf colors on our Toyota Camry for the first time this season now, as we were ready to roll for qualifying here from Iowa. Earliest Iowa's ever been on the calendar here in a season, race number 3. But we start qualifying, gonna hook it up right on that yellow line if we can, a little bit off there with a goal of a 23.375, and get really tight on the exit of turn 2, so I had to be really patient and pedal the throttle a little bit there. You can see my kind of disapproval on my face there. And again in 3 and 4, same situation, and nothing changed about the setup between practice and qualifying, and it felt way tighter in qualifying and actually scraped the wall there with a 23.462, and that puts us outside of the top half. 22nd place here for the Iowa Corn 400. Not what we want to see, just behind Shane Van Gisbergen and front row Eric Jones there. Chase Briscoe for RFK on pole alongside Ryan Blaney, Busher, Wallace, and Kyle Busch. Last episode winner inside the top 5, with Gibbs rounding out the top 10. 23-11 full-time rookie now Corey Heim just outside of the top 10 in P11, as you see the rest of the qualifying order. RCR looking like they're struggling a little bit, as Brent Cruz in his debut for Richard Childress Racing in dead last. Xfinity Series action this weekend as well in Iowa saw Brad Perez win his second consecutive race of his Xfinity Series season. Daniel Suarez for Trackhouse ends up second over Caden Honeycutt, Sam Marin Kraus. As you see other drivers inside the top 10, Harrison Burton with a great run, Ryan Truex, Sheldon Creed, some good Joe Gibbs representation there inside the top 10, but all the way towards the bottom of the grid was Greg Van Alst as well, Josh Williams and Lane Riggs. But now it's time to go racing under the lights here from Iowa.
It's the Iowa Corn 400, a fun little racetrack that isn't quite a short track, but not quite an intermediate either. Kyle Busch won his first race for Honda last week. Can he repeat from 5th tonight, Kevin?
He could, but my eyes are on second place starter, Ryan Blaney. He has a special talent at tracks like these. I guarantee he will be the best car tonight.
Okay, Gary, not a great starting spot. Yeah, we'll use this first run as our indicator of where to take the car.
Yeah, 10-4. Not quite sure what to expect, so let's just see what happens. Our 2 part-time drivers in the field tonight, Richard Childress Racing, Brent Cruz, Truck Series regular and up-and-coming prospect as well. JRM has a 7 of Justin Allgaier in the field here now as we are racing from Iowa for the Iowa Corn 400. It's all Chase Briscoe leading the way into turn 1 over one of his 3 teammates of Chris Buescher in the number 17 as I throw the block immediately on the 88 JRM driver of Noah Gregson here. There's Todd Gilliland, second place result last time out for Penske there in that number 2 car at Homestead, Miami. He was looking strong, but of course just not strong enough for Kyle Busch. It was just dominant, and Kyle Busch has gone from 5th to 1st on the opening lap. What a move. The 99 Wendy's Honda Civic into P1 over Ryan Blaney. Briscoe's all the way at the top, and he's already dropping, and so was the 17 of Buescher. We're 3 wide briefly on the exit of turn 2. There's our teammate of Chandler Smith in the number 18, and as well Christopher Bell just in front of us. All Joe Gibbs cars currently outside the top 10, with Gibbs being the best one of us four. We're 3 wide again on the exit of turn 4. How about Legacy Motor Club rookie William Sawalich? 8 wins on the season for Joe Gibbs Racing last season in the Xfinity Series side of things, but of course came up short of a championship to his Joe Gibbs teammate of Jesse Love, who picked up only 1 win, but was the best finisher in that final 4 race. Ryan Blaney now to the lead over Kyle Busch in these early opening laps now, as we are moving our way forward, passing Ty Gibbs, who we had a little bit of beef with in Homestead last episode, but now Christopher Bell running best of Joe Gibbs, moving his way up towards the top 10 as we're putting pressure on the back of Shane Van Gisbergen, but both of us working past a bit of a struggling Joey Logano as my rearview mirror is quickly being filled up by those 2 cars behind us, Justin Allgaier as well as Rajah Caruth. And Rajah Caruth in the number 48, of course, his first full-time season with several races under his belt, of course, over the last couple of seasons with the Andretti Global team. Rajah has not finished any of the races so far this season. He's DNF'd in both the 2 races so far, in Daytona and in Homestead. So I think today is really just about having a finish. That's really the main priority for that number 48 Overstock Chevrolet now, as we find ourselves engaged in battles with Kyle Larson, Briscoe, Allgaier now to my inside as Blaney continues to lead the way. Harvick called his shot in the pre-race there, saying he was going to be the best car. He guaranteed it, and he is certainly correct so far. Ryan Blaney looking strong in these opening laps now. 1 win last season for that number 12 is Larson trying to move his way back forward, and here comes the 48 of Rajah Caruth now to my outside, trying to move his way forward, and he's looking very strong early on in this race, but so is that 7 of Justin Allgaier. You're going to see all throughout this race so many different lanes of track being used, and it just throws cars all over the place and really makes it an interesting race. Homestead, we saw some absolutely fantastic racing, and just 12 laps in of the 41 in stage 1, we're seeing some great racing here as well behind the 23-11 rookie of Corey Heim, who's finally putting a solid effort together in his 3rd race. We know rookies are going to struggle this season. A lot of them have been kind of moved up a little bit early, haven't had a whole lot of time to develop, and as well limited practice time in the next gen era. Rookies are going to have a tough time this season. I feel like it's going to be really highlighted this season now. As you can see, we're still in just the thick of these battles. Bubba Wallace on my outside here, and it was actually Allgaier moving his way forward, and actually Rajah Caruth as well getting past me into 15th, going for 14th on Bubba Wallace now, and myself and SVG here running 16th and 17th. But I am struggling early on in this race. I mean, Homestead Miami, we didn't have a great car. We got a top 10 out of it, and it feels like tonight we definitely currently so far don't have a top 10 car either. As how about Shane Van Gisbergen forces it 4 wide on 3 Toyotas and brings his Honda through into the top 15. Now we switch back on the 23, follow the number 11 down into turn number 3, and Heim is showing that he's got the same pace as his 2 teammates for the first time this season of Bubba Wallace as well as Tyler Reddick. Now as we approach the halfway point of stage 1, we clear the 45, but you can see I'm starting to slip and slide a little bit in this Top Golf Toyota Camry, which was a bit of a concern here now, and I certainly had to start pedaling it a lot more on the exit of these corners. You can just see I'm slipping around. And how about Ryan Priest for Rick Ware Racing in the 51 having a great run? Caution flies, and it's Jesse Love blowing a tire into the outside wall, and it's going to be, I believe, an early exit for the Richard Childress rookie, as this is going to bring everybody into the pit lane, including us, as we do go up from a 50.0 on the wedge to a 50.5 and bring some of the right side tire pressures down, just struggling with a bit of a loose race car early on in this race. So we get ready to line up behind the 97 of Shane Van Gisbergen, just past a halfway point here in stage number 1. We've already seen some great racing so far, as we immediately take it to the inside of the 97 into turn 1, side by side with Justin Allgaier, as well as we exit 2 for 12th place alongside him behind the HendrickCars.com number 5 into turn number 3. We'll let Larson have the position. Kyle Busch back out in front right now as actually SVG got to my inside. We're 3 wide in the middle between Reddick and Allgaier as we cross the stripe just behind. It's Smith side by side with the 11 of Corey Heim. We'll clear the 7 on the outside there, and now we move through into P14, but we are struggling on the exit with these adjustments. Tight up the racetrack. We'll lose multiple positions on the run into turn 3.
Really tight right there. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with it for the long run pace.
And you hear James Mo just saying, hey, you're going to have to deal with it if you want to be a little bit quicker on that long run, because we were really slipping and sliding on that long run, so a bit of a tighter start. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more snug when we get to that long run. I think it's certainly still going to free up, but we find ourselves still engaged in these battles. How about William Sawalich going forward again? Time right there with us. Gibbs as well in the 54, the defending Cup Series champion. Of course, that is Ty Gibbs now, as we roll through 1 and 2, approaching lap 30 at this point here now, and we're actually making this outside work, especially through turns 1 and 2, and then turn 3 I'll just dive back down to the inside, but we get so tight here on the exit of the corner. We have to lift to keep off the 45, and that allowed Sawalich to get back to my inside, and he would make good work passing me again as we're back down to P18 and just continuing the struggle. So I think we do need to loosen this car up a little bit now. Shane Van Gisbergen into the outside wall below the tire, and the Trackhouse Honda is going to bring out the caution for the second time in stage number 1, but it's not going to be the end of the night for SVG like it was for the 33 of Jesse Love. It wasn't a big hit to the outside wall. I think SVG can still get a solid result. So we immediately get ready to go back racing here. Nobody into the pits, less than 10 laps to go, and Kyle Busch picking up right where he left off in Homestead, Miami. P1 on the run down towards turn 1. 9 laps to go. Ryan Blaney up there in second as we make this third lane work tremendously around the outside of 3-4 cars even, but we push wide again on the exit of turn 2, so that certainly stunts a bit of our momentum, but nonetheless we keep it into the top 15. 3 wide again on the outside. Smith there in the middle trying to make it work now. Ty Gibbs as well. There you see Ryan Priest. Priest had a really strong start to last season for Rick Ware Racing. Are we seeing something similar again this season? Because that 51 is looking mighty strong early on here as we continue in these battles with Reddick, Gibbs, Smith as well as at 51 here, but Ryan Blaney has now taken the lead and gone to the front. Christopher Bell up there in the top 5, Rajah Caruth as well in the top 5. What a drive out of that 48 to put himself as the best running Hendrick Motorsports car right now. How about William Byron? He's having a rough night, nowhere to be seen right now in that number 24, but we're pretty absent as a team for Joe Gibbs right now. I mean, Smith, myself, Gibbs, 3/4 of the team looking pretty rough right now as we pass Kyle Larson, who's on his way backwards in these closing laps of stage 1. That number 5 may be looking for a different adjustment here as we're going to pass one of the RFK machines of Justin Haley, but he would fight back on the outside, and there's Chris Buescher as well, who started in the top 5. Haley was looking strong in Miami until he had his issues as well as we start the final lap of stage number 1. Ryan Blaney leads the way. Chandler Smith trying to look to my inside. We used him up last episode, got into the left rear of him and knocked him sideways. Speaking of getting into cars, we hit the 17 on the door right there into turn 3 though. Ryan Blaney out of turn 4, down the front straightaway. He's going to come through to win stage number 1 over Kyle Busch. We cross the stride, P13, thankfully 10th place at the line just before that 17 got past us there. Chase Briscoe, P3, Bubba Wallace, and Justin Allgaier, the part-time car for JRM, inside the top 5. The final stage point goes to Christopher Bell, who was fading all throughout those closing laps of stage 1. So we're going to come in and we are going to loosen up the car just a little bit, but not to the previous point of where it was. So the wedge is at a currently 50.5. It was originally at a 50.0. We're going to put it at 50.3, so about the middle between the two. We gained 2 spots over Ty Gibbs and Justin Haley, putting us into P11, row 6, just behind that 48 of Caruth. The green flag is back out and stage 2 is underway, and it's Kyle Busch who got the win out of the pit lane, so he's back in P1 on the run into turn 1, but you see immediately Chase Briscoe pole winner up the inside. He's going to put his RFK 98 Ford Mustang back into the lead of this race here from Iowa, and now Briscoe going to try and take off from the 99 of Busch, the 12 of Blaney. How about Bubba Wallace Chastain up there in 4th and 5th place? Actually, there's William Byron. He's been up here. I just completely disregarded that 24 there and that white Exalta, the red flames there on the side now of that Chevrolet Camaro. We're 3 wide with our teammate Bell actually getting into the side of him a little bit here, and there's Justin Allgaier on the far outside. 39 laps here in stage at number 2, so a little bit more than, or a little bit less than stage 1, as now the 20 slips up the inside, and he's going to bring my other teammate of Chandler Smith with him here now as we're going to cross the stripe here, completing lap 2 into turn 1, back down to the inside, just trying to get into the top 10. This car doesn't quite have the pace that we want it to have, as we actually did briefly get to the back of the 7 7 of Allgaier on the exit of turn 2. He slides into turn 3, into the outside wall. He saves it, and we continue on. That was not my intention. Please apologize for that one. And usually, yeah, if you clip a car on the exit of turn 2 on the rear bumper, that happens a lot now, especially at a track like Iowa here. Now, here comes Corey Hine back into the mix now. It's fun to do this race because you're seeing a lot of back and forth now, and look at the lead on the track map. Bubba Wallace is now out in front. The leaders and everybody outside of the leaders as well, they'll run the bottom, they'll run the middle, they'll run the very top, and it really adds a lot of diversity throughout this race here. Now, you don't really know how it's going to go, but one thing I do know is we are not going to be in the top 10 tonight unless something changes or we get lucky here, but we'll pass the number 51 of Ryan Preece. We're just going to continue to grind. That's all we can do. Try to push this car forward and hope for the best. Be patient. That's the big thing here now. Larson around into turn 1. Caution's going to fly again. He gets hit on the door from the 88 and the 51 and the 31. Bowman piles in right at the end there, and the caution's going to fly. Larson blows a tire. Not very often you see the 5 have any issues like that, but fortunately for Larson, it's not going to be the end of his day, but of course he will be coming into the pit lane, and so will the 30 of Brent Cruz in his Cup Series debut. He's actually been quite significantly off the pace so far in that number 30, so not been the debut that he would have liked to have had, at least so far. Anything can happen. A lot of things can still change here, but it's Bubba Wallace out in front for the restart. We line up just behind Chris Buescher. Just in front, we got Byron as well as Chase Briscoe, as well Chastain, who's up the inside of the 18. Now 3 wide in front of us. Chase Elliott's going to get a 2-for-1 special, passing his teammate Byron, passing the 98 as well now, as we're tucked in behind the 17 Fastenal Ford Mustang. Bubba Wallace in the lead over Ryan Blaney, who takes second, and then you got as well Kyle Busch still up there in the mix. Watch out for that number 99 Wendy's machine. As you give Kyle Busch a bit more confidence, you know he's capable of doing incredible things behind the wheel of his number 99 at that point now, as it took him so long to get to victory lane with Trackhouse Racing, but now that he's done it, he could be unstoppable. But now, here we go to the inside, finally on lap 14, passing our teammate of Christopher Bell. We would eventually clear him here and move our way forward. He was actually on the way backwards now as we look to the inside of the 24, Byron on the exit of 4. This is for 12th position with 19 to go in the stage, but still have yet to enter the top 10, nearly into the left rear of the 48 of Rajat Karuth, but Bubba Wallace is still in front, but I believe Ryan Blaney is going to be putting some pressure on him soon enough, or Kyle Busch. Those two really are the cars that have the most for him so far here tonight. With 15 to go in the stage, though, that 23 continues to command the field, putting himself exactly where he needs to be. We continue to follow that 24 as we migrate back up the track on the exit of 2 here. Now, no real pressure from behind, so we just can kind of let things happen here now, as you see the 51 getting passed by the 24, and the 18 has actually clipped the 51, just washing up the racetrack there, and we would continue behind Ryan Preece as the guys in front of Smith as well as Byron would kind of run away here as we exit turn 2, sliding more. We go around on the exit of turn 2 off the front bumper of the 7 of Allgaier, and we spin and bring out the caution here in stage number 2.
Okay, the car looks okay. No real damage.
I'm sorry, guys. I just lost it at a turn 2 there. That was all on me.
Do you need any adjustments here?
I mean, I spun out because I'm loose, so maybe just tighten it up a little bit more. And that's exactly the call James Small is going to give to the pit crew. We're going to put that wedge up just a tad bit to 50.4. Yeah, I mean, I just simply spun myself out on the exit of turn 2. I mean, embarrassing there. Not the race that we've been wanting so far here from Iowa. Fortunately, we maintained P21 by the time we got going, and we gained 2 spots. Chastain actually had a terrible pit stop. He loses 13 positions. Now he's going to be lining up just behind us in that number 1 as we're back underway again, and it's Bubba Wallace out in front here. Less than 10 laps to go in stage 2. 9 to go to be exact. A weird restart there. Some cars slowing up, including Allgaier, who did run into me, of course, which might have played a role in that poor restart. Now, Chase Briscoe to the lead. We've seen him get aggressive on restarts early on in this race. He's doing it again, but now it's Rajah Caruth in the 48 going for the lead of this race. As I clip the apron slide up the track, here comes Chastain up the inside in that Clover Honda Civic. He'll go through and take the position and start his march back through the field, but the battles for the lead are heating up. Chris Buescher now passes the 48, but Bubba Wallace is in line to go back to the lead of this race. Now the 23 all over him. William Byron's up there in the mix as well. Blaney's still in the mix as well, as we're on the inside of Kyle Larson. Not the night Kyle Larson's been wanting for sure, but Bubba Wallace would retake the lead with a few laps to go in stage 2, 4 to be exact, and we're working on that 51 into turn 1. Caution's out. That's going to end stage 1, and Bubba Wallace will win the second stage. Sorry, not stage 1. So stage 2 winner to 2311's number 23 car. Nobody's going to pit because we had just made pit stops there, and it looks like Alex Bowman is going to pit, however, and so is John Hunter Nemechek, and now everybody starts to pit, so we're actually going to. But here's the reason for the caution. Andretti Global Honda rookie Connor Zilish loses the tire, goes spinning in turn 4. So everyone ends up pitting for 4 tires in field anyways. So we would get ready to go bank green for the start of stage number 3. We're past halfway through this race now, and Bubba Wallace leads the way down into turn number 1. A playoff point to that number 23. We got to the inside of the 7 of Justin Allgaier. He slides a little bit there, but we clear him, and now we're alongside the 98 of Chase Briscoe, who was up there in the battle for the stage win. Now he's outside of the top 10 into turn 3. Larson hounding on the door. He looks up the inside. He's going to take the position on the exit of the corner. Up into P12 goes that number 5, and he would start to run away. Going forward is that number 5, and now here comes Chase Briscoe up my inside as the battle for the lead. Now the 60 of Justin Haley would briefly take over now over that 23 of Bubba Wallace as I continue to struggle in about 14th place. Just cannot really do much here in this number 19 Toyota Camry tonight, but we stick with it, and we find ourselves back in the mix. 4 wide in front, Byron Bush, Blaney, the 18 of Smith. The 2 favorites here, Blaney and Bush, are now outside the top 10, and that really shows you the diversity of this race and how many or how much things can change. As the leader now again is Justin Haley. He would find a way back through. Kyle Larson would drive his way up to 3rd position over the next few laps as I lean on the 18 there. Blaney drops back to 14th place as we go down into turn 3. Blaney runs into us. He tries to shove us out of the way. He wrecks himself instead. The caution's gonna fly on lap 89. I mean, what was he even trying to do right there? He just tried to drive right through me.
Who knows, man? He wrecked himself doing it.
So Blaney maybe getting frustrated having what is arguably the best car not working out for him tonight. You see it there. I mean, I didn't do anything. He just simply drove into the back of me and wrecked himself. So he is going to have to recover from that one now as we're going to go bank green. Nobody pitted, by the way, so we're bank green. You cannot make it if you pit now. So it would not have made sense to, well, come into the pits. But down towards turn number 1, Kyle Larson going for the lead. He's looking 3 wide on the leaders, and Larson into P1 on the exit of turn 2. Young Money takes the position, the lead position that is, down this back straightaway. Ross Chastain's worked his way back forward. He's into the mix here now as we go behind the camera a little bit now as I hit the apron into turn 3. There goes Allgaier through the middle, passing me, and he's on the inside of my teammate of Chandler Smith, but we get back to the inside of this Brandt number 7 with that corn-inspired paint scheme, of course, here for the Iowa Corn 400, but Larson's worked his way back up the racetrack. Now he's under pressure from Justin Haley, who's really shown up here in stage number 3, but Larson covers the bottom as he's going to try and run away. I didn't really have Kyle Larson winning this race on my deck of cards just with the way he was running, but he has gotten the lead and now he's taking control. He's actually starting to drive away. Chastain, who was in the top 3, would run the top all the way to the point where he fell back to me in 13th position now as we continue to just search around this racetrack. We just cannot find a way into the top 10 here tonight. We just don't have the car we need, but we clear the 1. We would eventually get to the inside of the 51, but look in our mirror. Ryan Blaney is back and looking for the position now. What a recovery drive already from the number 12 now. Problems ahead. Somebody smoking. Smoke pouring out of the back of the 98 of Chase Briscoe. That is a pole winner. A great top 10 run, and now everybody's scrambling to get around the 98. No caution. We stay green. The 98's out of control. He crashes into the inside wall. No caution. NASCAR keeps it green. He's well off the racing surface. They say we're not going to throw it now as here comes Allgaier up my inside. We briefly entered the top 10, but back down to P11, and on the back straightaway, the leaders would run down the 98 of Chase Briscoe, and everyone's scrambling all over the racetrack once again, and you can see everyone checking up here now. I'm just playing it safe, letting things happen. There's the 98 there. He's going to get into the pit lane. How in the world do we not have a caution? But into the top 10 we go again, passing the 7 back, and everybody back there is all over each other. It looks like a scene out of Talladega there, with just a big pack of cars clumped together. But suddenly we find ourselves in a top 10 running position with 40 laps to go in this race. Now, green flag pit stops, by the way, they are not far away either. We might find ourselves pitting under green flag conditions here momentarily now, as we're actually going to pass that 23 of Bubba Wallace, move ourselves into P9, and next up's our teammate of Chandler Smith, but unfortunately he's driving away from me. I couldn't quite close in on that number 18, and here comes Justin Allgaier up my inside on the exit of turn 2. He's going to pass us down this back straightaway, so that puts us back down to P10. He would pass Smith as well, put himself into 8th place, and he is working his way forward. As for myself, still struggling in this race, and William Byron would find a way to run back up to me here in that 24 Exalta Chevrolet, and he looks to the inside. This is going to put us outside the top 10 if he can complete the pass, and it's not going to be hard for him to complete it in the run towards turn number 1. And as well, Bubba Wallace back into the mix now, looking to take P11 from me. So just like that, we're back down to P12, way up the racetrack there on the exit of the corner now. But pit stops kicking off here, green flag stops. The 17's in the 48, the 60 of Haley as well. They have all come into the pit lane, and on the next lap, Allgaier comes in, Bubba Wallace, and a few others. So just like that, we're up at a P7, crash hard into the outside wall, goes a 20 of Christopher Ballard, Joe Gibbs' teammate. The caution flies, and all the cars that were on the pit lane a lap prior just got screwed. Haley, Busher, Jones, Logano, Caruth, Cindric, Bowman, all those guys. As we're now coming into the pit, some drivers are in the pit lane as that caution came out. They are going to be in good shape. But so we might lose some track position here, but we're going to pit for 4 tires, fill it up on fuel, no adjustments at this point. I'm quite happy, and I don't feel like we can make this car a whole lot better than it is. So we end up losing 3 spots, but we're still in the top 10. Heim, Zane Smith, Reddick, they're all on the racetrack as we get back racing. Noah Gregson in the 88 as well. This could change up some things here with 26 laps of racing to go from this Iowa Corn 400. Elliott takes his teammate of Larson 3 wide, and now Allgaier 3 wide with Corey Heim. Through goes the 9 of Elliott as he's suddenly in position to win this race as we're on the inside of Chandler Smith into turn 3. Look at Elliott switch down to the inside across the nose of the 7. Elliott putting himself in position to win this race. Now we would find ourselves 3 wide with Larson, who continues to run the outside here now behind Corey Heim. Byron in at the middle, but Kyle Busch has actually gotten away with the lead before Elliott could. So Kyle Busch puts himself in control as I clip the 5 on the exit of turn 2. He checked up on the exit on my nose, and now Larson goes for a huge slide across the track. What a save. The wheelman keeps control, but he's not going to be happy with that one. That's the second time we've kind of knocked someone completely out of the way, and we hurt ourselves in the mix there as well, down to P14. Obviously not meaning to run into the back of the 5 there. He just checked up on me on the exit of turn 2 there as we continue to now fall back down the order a little bit again, battling for 15th. How about Todd Gilliland working his way back forward? We're 3 wide between the 51 and the 38 of Zane Smith there for Front Row Motorsports as we check up, get in line behind that 51 and try to make this inside work. We pass the 38 quite quickly. We're 3 wide with Gilliland as well as the number 11 of Heim, but it doesn't quite work out right off the bat. We continue to battle with these 2 drivers now. We clear the 2 on the exit of turn 2, but leave him the space there to fight back. But Kyle Busch with 20 laps to go is in control. Can he get his second win of the season? And it would be, of course, 2 back-to-back wins to kick off season 4 of this career mode. Now passing the 11 into P13. Don't give up quite yet here in Iowa. Anything can happen now in these closing laps of this race now as we try to cover off the 17. We got more smoke. It's Blaney. Ryan and Blaney go spinning.
Don't when I get that.
Ryan Blaney furious, and here's a replay. I mean, he just loses it under the 9. Maybe a tire issue, it's hard to tell. And Byron comes in and finishes him off, and arguably the best car of the night is just going to come out with a terrible, terrible result here now. As we get back going again, Blaney is now crashed twice in the final stage. We are back racing here from Iowa. Blaney is still in the race. He can still recover with 15 laps to go. Kyle Busch maintains the lead. Bubba Wallace back through in a second. We know the 23 is strong. Has Wallace put himself in position to get his first win of the season? Won recently, of course, in Season 3 towards the tail end of the season after missing the playoffs. He went and won at Homestead, Miami over his good friend of Ryan Blaney. And look up front as we're in the battle for the top 10 suddenly. But Bubba Wallace to the inside of the Honda 99 Trackhouse machine of Kyle Busch to the lead. 23-11's Bubba Wallace, your stage 2 winner as well. We're passing the 24 of Byron, or 3 wide with him, and the rookie of William Sawalich, and a great effort from Sawalich here tonight, but we clear him through 1 and 2 as well into P8 here with just over 10 laps to go. Can we find a way to get a top 10 result after running, 12th to 15th, basically the majority of the race? That would be one heck of a turnaround, and I think it's possible, because now to the inside of the 45, up into P7, but Byron was following us through. Kyle Larson was marching his way forward as well to try and rebound with 10 laps to go in this race. SVG to the inside of Chandler Smith. How about Shane Van Gisbergen? He is really putting himself as a potential favorite this season right off the bat. His second full-time season here, and it's clear he has adapted better to ovals over the course of his first full-time season now, as we're going to get passed by Byron back down to P7. We are looking at least quite comfortable in terms of holding on to a top 10, but Bubba Wallace continues to lead, but he is under a lot of pressure right now from Kyle Busch. Here we go to the inside of that Red Bull machine of SVG. Kyle Busch has managed to find a way past Byron and is now looking for a way past SVG and myself now, but the battle for the lead is on. Kyle Busch to the inside of the 23, and Kyle Busch to the lead down this front straightaway. He retakes it with 6 to go. Larson's to my inside in the exit of 4. He moves through into P6. We know that 5 has speed to win the race too, but he's not got the time, as now SVG on lap 135 on the exit of 2 looks to my inside. That's going to relegate us down to the 8th position, but the battle for the lead, it's still very tight between Busch and Bubba Wallace, so I wouldn't write this one off yet for that 23. There's still a chance, but I am starting to struggle. Here goes my teammate of Chandler Smith, having the best run he's had so far in the first 3 rounds this season. He's going through into P8. We fight back on the outside, trying to make it happen here down into turn 3, but he's going to get the job done. Smith through into P8. We go down to 9th, but the battle for the lead back on. Wallace to the inside of the 99 Wendy's Honda down the back straightaway with a few laps to go. Bubba Wallace retakes the lead from Iowa. He's looking for win 1 in a playoff lock. 2 drivers that missed the playoffs last season could find themselves both in the first 3 races of the season. Wallace leads with 2 to go. How about Rajah Caruth in stop for position? He got trapped a lap down. It's going to be a disappointing ending again for him in his first 3 races as a full-time Cup driver. Wallace leads at the white flag into turn 1, but he runs high. Here comes Busch to the inside on the exit of turn 2. Down the back straightaway, he has half a car length, but Wallace has the momentum. They're going to be wheel to wheel into turn 3, but it's Kyle Busch through 3 and 4 taking the lead out of turn 4. Back-to-back wins. Kyle Busch does it in Iowa. Kyle Busch, 2 wins now on the season. As we find a way to get into the top 10, we will absolutely take that. Shane Van Gisbergen again in the top 10. How about Justin Allgaier, P3 there? Kyle Larson rebounds to 5th. Outside the top 10, you got guys like Chastain. Blaney rebounded again to 13th place. Sanchez in 17th as a rookie for the Andretti Global team. Sammy Smith there, P20. Kozlowski with a bit of a rough day. How about Rajah Caruth down in 30th place? A bit of a rough night again for him when he had a top 5 car for sure. In DNFs, of course, included our teammate of Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, Connor Zilish, and Jesse Love. Now, in the playoff grid, well, we're already talking about playoffs after just 3 races. Kyle Busch, of course, to the top of the playoff grid over myself in the standings. We'll look at the actual regular season standings next episode, but Ty Gibbs currently the last one in. 2 points ahead of both Logano and Andretti rookie of Nick Sanchez. Eric Jones back by 4, Chastain and Briscoe, the pair of them back by 5 points. I can confirm, though, Byron is at the top of the regular season standings, and next episode we're going short track racing at which is arguably my worst short track on the calendar, Richmond Raceway. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.